If you have been reading the Blue Lock manga, you probably know that the Nigeria game is very close to ending. And with that idea in mind, I think the next game we play is against the big, daunting France in the U20 World Cup arc. And of course, this is a highly anticipated game because this will be the first time we're actually playing Julian Loki, aka Mbappe, in like an actual match, not an exhibition, not the NEL. No, we're playing him in an actual game. And guys, this game is very exciting because we're coming off the back of the Nigeria game. Obviously, the Nigeria game has been pretty slow. It's mostly like a prelude and build up to this game. This game is the real hitter to show how much better Japan / Blue Lock have really gotten. Because we remember all those freaking chapters back when Blue Lock couldn't even touch Loki at all. So I decided to come up with a list of things I think that we as fans need to see in this Blue Lock U20 Japan versus France game. Anyways, without further ado, let's get right into this video. Please remember that like and subscribe if you guys like the type of content. And yeah, man, let's go. The first thing I want to see is good pacing. I feel like the pacing in Blue Lock has been very here and there recently. I feel like for some chapters back in early Blue Lock, if you look at it, there are sometimes like 2 or 3 shot attempts at goal in one chapter. Like one chapter has 3 sequences in it where somebody could end up scoring a goal. That is just simply not the case in Blue Lock anymore. Blue Lock will now get maybe 1 shot on goal. The ball is going to get blocked by someone at the last moment. The ball is going to be in the air and the chapter is going to end. That's how it goes usually. And I feel like this really halts the pacing of the game because it kind of feels like Kaneshiro doesn't have every single moment of the games planned out, so he just takes tiny baby steps, and ultimately figures out how he wants the scene to play out from there. But I feel like if he's able to fix the pacing issue, it's going to make the game a lot more readable on a weekly format, and perhaps, you know, opposed to reading it in full later on, people who like to read it weekly, they're going to be enjoying this match a lot more. The second thing I want this game to show us is I do not want the strikers blocking everything in this game. Usually in Blue Lock, especially, it's been a trend because from the start, everyone in Blue Lock has been a striker. So it was justified for a striker to block a striker. But ever since we started playing 11v11 matches where people are literally on the pitch to play defender, the defenders still aren't blocking the shots and the strikers are blocking the shots. That's been a problem for a while, and even in this game where Kaneshiro's tried to kind of fix it with Blue Lock's defense, making some stops, the strikers are still forced to come back and ultimately defend and try and, you know, stop the attacks. Either way, the way I'm looking at it, I need the defenders for both France and Blue Lock to be the ones defending. Now, it's okay if Loki can get a steal or a block. I just want this block to happen not in the box. Don't make it seem like Loki is teleporting because he plays forward. He's a striker. Don't make it seem like he's teleporting from the front of the other team's box to his own box and blocking shots, because that's just not what strikers do. If you look at real life, if you look at football in any capacity, if you watch football at all, strikers are not going all the way from the other team's box to their own box to block shots. Now, of course, if a team is playing maybe like a deep block or something, the striker will come down all the way to the top of their own box to maybe defend and make it more compact. But I highly doubt that's the case. Now, of course, Kaneshiro, if you want Loki to use his speed to get balls in the midfield during transition when Blue Lock think they're going to go on a break and score, Loki can then use his speed and make some tackles and try and get back. That's perfectly fine. I'm fine with that. Why don't we have that many? Why don't we have more interceptions in the midfield? Personally, I feel like most of the interceptions in Blue Lock always come like throughout the point when the other team is literally near the box or in the box or about to shoot. Like, these are the only times we get interceptions in Blue Lock, where I feel like it'll be much better if we can see more schemes in Blue Lock where a team focuses on shutting down the midfield, shutting down from the defense to attack. Like, you know, I feel like that'll be a nice change and a nice mix of a team that we haven't seen so far in Blue Lock. Now, my next point has to do with the fact that I want this game to be 11v11. Now, this directly transitions from my last point I made, that I don't want the strikers to be making blocks, because a lot of time the strikers are forced to make blocks because Kaneshiro wants the named players and the good players to make the plays in the game. I understand that, but this wouldn't be a problem if you have more than 4 good players on a team, Kaneshiro. The U20 game was That wasn't a problem because we had how many good players? The entire Japan back line was a named character. Aiku, named character. And the thing is, you had a player in midfield, attack, and defense that you could focus around. For when U20 was defending, Aiku was getting focused. When they were attacking, Sei and Shido were getting focused. So there was a reason why they were getting stops and it was justifiable. But now, we go back to this game, where I think that Kaneshiro needs to end up making defenders actually defend, and it feel like there's 11 people on the pitch, and not just Loki, Rin, Shido, Barou, whoever. I don't want the entirety of Blue Lock to play, and then just 4 players or 3 players for France, like Charles and Loki, and that's it. I don't want that. Please, Kaneshiro, make it seem like there is more than 3 players on the pitch for France. Because if that is the case, then I feel like I have high hopes for this game. I have a feeling that this game is going to be much better, and this game is going to be much more unpredictable as to rather who could score. Now, of course, the game might start out a bit predictable with Loki coming out the gates just punching, obviously, because him and Isagi have a lot of beef, and that dynamic is going to be interesting to explore. But I really do hope that Kaneshiro ends up making this game 11v11 and not 11v4. Another thing I really need to see in this game, which is going to build off my last point, was Loki and Isagi's rivalry. Guys, this is actually one of the rivalries I'm pretty excited for, along with Sai versus Bunny, because I feel like Isagi is long overdue for another dynamic / rivalry. His only ones that we've seen right now are ones that we've been familiar with for like 100 chapters plus. And I'm sorry, if you count his dynamic with Onazi pretty interesting, then I guess that's just you, because I think that's the most boring dynamic in all of Blue Lock. But that's neither here or there. I think Isagi and Loki's beef is going to be very interesting, especially since Isagi just said what everyone was thinking in the NEL. You just happen to be born fast. That's why you think you're so good. And it looks like Loki was very angry when he heard that. So who knows? Maybe this could be the first time Loki's heard that. Maybe a lot of people said that. Maybe Loki just feels that way about himself anyways, but he tries to justify it with his ego. Who knows? We're going to dive deeper into Loki's character, which is another thing that I really want to see. But also his dynamic with Isagi, I feel like has a lot of potential to really show you the difference between just born geniuses and talented learners. You know what I'm saying? This could be a clash for the ages of ideology, you know, of everything. So I'm so excited for this dynamic and this matchup right here. Now let's talk about France. Now, I've already talked about France a little bit earlier on this video, but I want to build off of that as well, because I feel like most of the teams that are hyped up in Blue Lock, usually, except for the U20 World Cup, don't live up to it. Now, PXG was hyped up as the other undefeated team, and of course, they felt like they had 3 players on the pitch most of the time. It was Rin, Shido, and Charles. That's really just it. It didn't feel like they were that as good as Bastard Munchen, where almost every single one of their players were doing something. That's just false. And I feel like France, being probably heavy favorites going into this U20 World Cup, with one of the best players, Julian Loki, Charles, and we already know in real life, France is a talent machine. This team needs to be stacked. I want to see just how good this team is. What is the talent pool looking like in France? How many good players are there? Because we already have Charles, who is 15 years old playing at this level. Loki, who is the same age or just a little older than Isagi, playing at an even higher level than him. And Loki's probably one of the only characters we've seen that is higher than New Gen 11 level. Like, there's New Gen 11 who are upcoming players who are really, really good. And then there's Loki, who's just ascended that too. And he's damn near younger or that age. So it's just that impressive to see this many good players, young talent coming out of France. And it just makes me wonder, like, how many other good players are like this? I really hope that there isn't just 2 players that we've seen, and those are the only 2 good players on France. Please tell me France has a great midfielder. Please tell me France has a great defender. Please tell me France has multiple matchups that our individual players are going to have to overcome. Please, just tell me that, please. I want to see Rin get someone he gets to go up against, like the old days, like in U20. I want to see all these players get matchups for themselves, and why they can't maybe overcome them, why they can overcome them. I just want to see a struggle. I feel like we haven't seen our players really struggle in a very long time, especially Isagi. I want to see that, and that's going to build off for my last point of the video, where I just want to see Isagi lose. I'm not an Isagi hater by any means. You know, if you've been watching this channel, you probably know that there's times when I've even glazed Isagi. But I need Isagi to lose. Guys, Isagi has won ever since the U20 game, he hasn't lost a single game. And if he was to just come into this U20 World Cup, play the favorites, and then just win in the group stages, I would know that this is gearing up for Isagi to win the U20 World Cup. Just like that. Because France is already one of the best teams in the entire U20 World Cup, right? It's already established that they probably are. They're probably one of the favorites to win the entire thing. And Japan, being in a group with them, England, and, well, previously stated, Nigeria, was said to be the group of death. And so, since it's the group of death, we know that both these teams are really, really good, and it's going to be very hard for Japan to beat them. Now, if Japan was to just go in there willy-nilly, doo-doo, you know, they have high diff, of course, like the PXG game is high diff, but you never really think that they're going to lose the game, you know? Like, there's never really no doubt in your mind. There's no tension that they're going to lose the game, you know? But when you do see that they lose it, it's a big shock. Like, I want that second selection Kaneshiro back, where it's just unpredictable. You don't know if they're going to win. You don't know if they're going to lose. I want that prime Kaneshiro back, that prime blue lock. And that's what I'm looking for in this U20 World Cup arc. But yeah, guys, that's just my thoughts. That's what I want to see. Let me know what you guys would like to see down below in the comments. Share this to any of your friends who like BLUELOCK, and make sure to please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. But yeah, man, I hope you guys all have a great day. Goodbye.